All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about the architecture of abuse. And no, not the kind that leaves visible bruises. We're going to explore something much more hidden, the kind of harm that can totally reshape a person's inner world, the invisible stuff that's just so powerful. So let's start with a common idea. When you hear the word abuse, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of people, it's something loud, right? Something physical. You imagine shouting, maybe violence, a really clear, tangible picture of what harm looks like. And that's exactly what brings us to the real question here. What if the most damaging kinds of abuse don't leave any bruises at all? What happens when the harm is quiet? When it's designed not to break bones, but to slowly, methodically break someone's spirit, their sense of who they are, even their connection to reality itself? Okay, so first up, let's talk about mental abuse. You can think of this as a direct attack on the mind. It's all about targeting a person's ability to think, to reason things out for themselves. So what's the goal here? Well, it's pretty insidious. It's about systematically tearing down a person's intellect, their judgment. It's really a way of turning their own mind, their own thoughts, against them. And here's how it works, and this part is just devastating. Imagine you're hearing constant criticism. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. You always mess things up, day in, day out. After a while, that external voice, it starts to become your internal voice. The abuser doesn't even have to be there anymore because you've started doing their job for them. Their voice literally becomes your own inner critic. All right, moving on to the next one, psychological abuse. And this goes a whole level deeper. It's not just about attacking someone's thoughts. It's about attacking their actual sense of what is real. See, with this one, the whole point is to make someone doubt their own mind, to make them question their memories, their experiences, their basic grasp on what's actually happening. And the main weapon used here, it's something you've probably heard of: gaslighting. You know, those classic lines like, "That never happened," or "You're just being way too sensitive," or "You're crazy for even thinking that." By just constantly denying what's real and creating all this confusion on purpose, the abuser gets total control. It leaves the other person feeling totally alone and having to rely on the abuser's version of reality. So we've talked about the mind and we've talked about reality. Now let's turn to the heart. This brings us to the third form, emotional abuse, which is all about targeting a person's right to have their own feelings. What this really is the systematic invalidation of your emotions. It's sending a constant message that your feelings are wrong, that they're inappropriate, that they just don't matter. It's basically an attack on your right to feel anything, sad, angry, even happy, unless it's what the abuser wants you to feel. And a really common tactic you'll see here is the silent treatment or just withholding affection. Think about it. When someone expresses a feeling that's not allowed, all care and affection just get withdrawn. It's a form of punishment. And what does that do? It conditions a person to just suppress what they're really feeling to avoid that punishment. Over time, it totally severs them from their own emotional core. Okay, so when you lay all three of these out side by side like this, a really clear pattern emerges, right? Each type of abuse attacks a very specific part of you: your thoughts, your reality, and your feelings. And each one has its own favorite tool to get the job done: the inner critic, gaslighting, or withholding affection. But here's the thing. Even though they have different targets and different methods, all three of these invisible forms of abuse lead to the exact same devastating place. Whether it's conscious or not, they are all designed to do one thing: disconnect a person from their own self. And this process, it's just tragic because it's like a slow-motion erasure of a person. It kicks off with that constant criticism or confusion, then that gets internalized. But the real crucial turning point, it's when your own self-trust just completely crumbles. You get to a place where you no longer trust your mind, your memories, or your heart. And the final step is this profound disconnection from the very core of who you are. But, and this is a really important but, if disconnection is the result, then that means reconnection has to be the goal of healing. The journey back isn't about trying to forget what happened. It's about slowly, carefully rebuilding everything that was torn down. It's about getting back to a place where your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own perceptions, they're your guides again, the ones you trust the most.
At the end of the day, healing from this stuff is really all about reestablishing that relationship with yourself. It's about learning to trust your own mind again, learning to say, yes, my feelings are valid, learning to believe in what you see and experience. And look, this isn't a one and done kind of thing. It's a slow, deliberate process of rebuilding that foundation, brick by brick. One good decision, one validated feeling at a time.
And that really brings us to our final thought. Just understanding this invisible architecture we've been talking about. That's a huge first step. But the path forward from here isn't something you just find. It's something you build. So we want to leave you with this to think about. If healing really does begin with rebuilding self-trust, what's the very first brick you can lay?